Hare Krishna. So, it's my pleasure to speak to you today. Last night we had Srila Prabhupada's Disappearance Day event here in the temple. And it was very nice. It's always a bittersweet kind of a program because, it was one of the most traumatic days of my life when he left. But at the same time, if I hadn't been so wrapped up in my own needs, I would have understood that he's gone to Krishna and gone back to Godhead. But when you're in your 20s and you're totally devoted to Prabhupada day and night, it's like, how could you possibly leave? How is that possible? He'd been ill for some time, and every time he went into kind of a crisis, we would have a 24-hour kirtan. So in those days, there were no computers, communications were terrible. So we generally get a call from India, where Prabhupada was, and they'd say, Prabhupada's not doing well, we need 24-hour kirtan in every temple in the world. And those calls were, from India were the ones where you'd hear the temple person on the phone yelling because you had to yell if you were talking to India. I was like, what's that, Prabhu? It was like so crazy. Anyway, we used to do 24-hour kirtans. We'd be up all night, we'd be up all day, we'd just be chanting so sincerely. And somehow, Prabhupada would get better or improve. So we just thought, just keep doing this forever, we'll be fine. So when he did actually go into more of a decline and leave us eventually, we found it really, really hard to believe because we'd been completely absorbed in serving him, and we loved him dearly. He'd been like our father, our teacher, everything. And it just seemed like the idea of living in this world without him was inconceivable. Even though we didn't realize at the time, he didn't really leave us because, that's why he produced all those books, all those tapes, all those videos, so that, and he's in our heart, always. You can praise Srila Prabhupada anytime. So, at any rate, so when I thought yesterday about that day, it was kind of bittersweet. Maharaj and Krishnadas and I were all speaking last night, and we were all saying, it was a really tough day, but it's one that you'll never forget. I had a new baby, 2 weeks old. So, when I got to the temple, I was living down the road. We rented houses in the area for devotees who had children, and each family had one room. And we shared bathroom, kitchen, everything. We were like family. Anyway, I came, it was down DuPont Street, I walked here with my baby. And the whole temple was like in, I don't know how even, it was like everyone was completely paralyzed. Everyone was just sitting in different corners crying. Nobody could speak. Nobody could do anything. It was like, we were so shocked. Anyway, things like that happen in your life, and you have to learn and grow from them. And this one's one of the biggest, of course, he being our guru, who had changed our life completely, all of us. You can imagine, none of us had ever heard of Krishna. I'd never heard of that in my life until I heard the Beatles song, George Harrison's song, My Sweet Lord. I'd never heard the word Krishna in my life. Most of us hadn't. I didn't know anything about Bhagavad Gita. I didn't know anything about the Vedas. I heard of yoga, but I don't think that's that's really yoga, what they were doing, the exercises. So, here I was at university. I was studying science, and I got a Sri Upanishad. They came for an evening program to my university in London. They said, come for dinner. We're having free dinner. I was sitting on the hill at Western. I was looking around, and I thought, they look so weird. I don't think I want to go. Even though I was trying to be vegetarian at the time, it had occurred to me that it was a nice thing to do. So, anyway, later on in the day, I did get hungry, and I went. And I bought a Sri Upanishad for like $0.25. I was studying science. And I was also studying religion. I've been going to all these religious groups at the university, trying to find something that meant something. Now, I was brought up a Presbyterian. I'm Scottish. Presbyterian church is Protestant. It's very bare bones. It's very, it's austere, but it's not fancy. There's not, I just couldn't feel really engaged with it ever in my life. Even though I talked to my minister, I went to Sunday school, but something was missing. I always felt that my whole life. Then I got this Sri Upanishad, and a light came on. The first few slokas for a science student made total sense. Everything's a balance. Krishna owns everything. It's like, you just read those few slokas. It puts everything into a universal sense of knowledge and sense. So then I got Bhagavad Gita, I started reading that. There was a little blue one in those days, tiny little blue one, no Sanskrit in it. And then I bought a box of incense, and on the back of it was the Maha Mantra. So I started chanting. And then weird things were happening. I had this radio that would wake me up in the morning. And for some reason, many days in a row, I would wake up with my alarm, and the radio would pop on, and it would be Yamuna singing Govinda Maripurusham, and I'd be like, oh, what's going on here? Anyway, the devotees came again to the university, and I spent more time with them, and then they persuaded me to come down for March break, just see what it's like. So I thought, I got in the truck, I came. And I spent a week here, and then I went back. I finished my degree, and then I moved into the temple. My parents were not happy, but anyway, that's what happened. So then your life totally changes. You move into an ashram where the whole focus is about Krishna. There's nothing but Krishna, nothing but Prabhupada. We listened to every tape we got in the mail. We devoured them. We listened to them a million times. We chanted all the rounds in the morning thinking of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was everything. Whatever he asked us to do, we did. We wanted to. We wanted to please him. And he was the most wonderful guru. We all had a unique relationship with him, because we all knew what we needed to do to try and be more Krishna conscious, and he facilitated that. Srila Prabhupada, he was traveling all over the world, even though he was older. He would stay in one place a couple of days, and then he'd go somewhere else a couple of days. I'm older, and I don't know how he did that. That is so hard on me, especially in those days when air travel was a lot less comfortable and a lot longer. Anyway, he would come, he would just be translating the books all night, helping us all day. I don't know how he did it. But he was just full of compassion and love for us. He just wanted to help us. You could feel it. And I just want to encourage you all that, he hasn't been here for 48 years. And I feel that I'm I'm in a privileged position, having been there in that time. Like, that was really special, and thank you, Krishna, for that. But he's still our preeminent guru. He's still ISKCON's topmost person, teacher. He is still in charge. He is who you should be trying to have your spiritual relationship with. And your guru, if you have one, should facilitate that. That's really, really important. It's like the Parampara, coming down for so many thousands of years. The Parampara has been just Vaishnava culture, just coming down, and each guru teaches the next exactly the same thing that they learn. Nothing changes. That's the beauty of it. So nobody concocts anything, takes advantage of anyone, tries to change anything for their own benefit. It's just exactly the same thing. So Prabhupada taught us exactly what he learned from Bhakti Siddhanta, we learned it from Bhakti Vinod, and on and on. And your gurus learned exactly from Prabhupada and are teaching you exactly what he taught. And it's all in his books. There's no concern that there'll be deviation. It's all there. So anyway, Krishna set up this system in order to deliver us from the material world, which is a place where we're trapped because we are attached. We're attached. We've been here for lifetimes. Somehow we think it's better than going back to Godhead to be here with all the problems and miseries. Believe me, I worked in a hospital for 28 years. It's not a misery. You look at so many things in the world, earthquakes, tsunamis, wars, so many things. All you can do is take shelter of God. You have to get unattached. You have to become attached to spiritual life, to Krishna, to thinking differently. And that's what the Guru gives you, that knowledge, so you can do that. So, everybody is encouraged in ISKCON to cultivate that personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada through his books, his teachings, and through ISKCON, because this is him. ISKCON is him. That's his body. Prabhupada wrote a lot about being a guru, and he talked a lot about cheating gurus. There were others that came to North America at that time from Eastern countries trying to be gurus. They wanted, a lot of it was money, women, whatever. And they would say, don't worry, I'll give you a mantra. You don't have to give up anything. You just chant my mantra, give me money, you're liberated. There were a lot of these kind of people, but Srila Prabhupada never compromised. Even dealing with hippies like me, who had crazy habits and didn't know anything. And he would not compromise. He'd say, no illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating. You just have to give up all these things. You have to be pure. You have to serve purely and chant. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make advancement. And that's the bottom line. So we just, yes, Prabhupada, sounds good. It's like Prabhupada would talk about his guru, and he would talk about how much he helped him and how much he owed to his guru all the time. Om Anjanatyanandasya Jananjanat Salakaya Chakshuni Tamdina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. And my guru, my spiritual master, opened my eyes to the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. We say this every day. It's just what you have to do. You have to change your consciousness. Not that you give up all the things that you need to do in life, taking care of your family, doing your job and all that. You just make it Krishna conscious. I know when I was working in the hospital, I worked in neurosurgery, and there was a saying in neurosurgery that a good result is that the person goes to heaven. It was pretty dismal sometimes, although they did some miracles as well. But I used to think of myself in a bubble, just this spiritual bubble. And I'd float around the hospital, talking to families and to staff and different people. And I always felt like I could engage with them, keeping the misery over there, because I had Prabhupada. I felt it. So you have to cultivate this kind of thing, so that your life can become more spiritual. Not saying that I'm any kind of great devotee, but I took advantage of some of the teachings to give myself some help in the world. So how is Prabhupada different? Like, there's so many gurus named. How is he different? He was really different. Remember when he came in 1965, like you saw in that little video, with absolutely nothing. He had, I think it was $40 or 40 rupees in his pocket, nothing. He had a couple of books, and he had a heart attack on the ship. And he just prayed to Krishna, please let me continue, I haven't done my mission. And he came and he walked into New York City, into the Bowery, into the worst area, even at his typewriter still, and nobody was helping him. He just went to the park, sat down, and started chanting, and people came. And slowly they helped him. They rented a storefront. He started holding daily classes and teaching them how to cook and teaching them how to take care of themselves and how to think differently. I mean, I don't know any other guru that would come and go through that kind of austerity and deal with those kind of people. The people in the Bowery, they were taking a lot of drugs. They were really in bad shape. Most of the gurus who came, they'd go for the intellectuals and they'd go for the wealthy people and try to capitalize on whatever they could get out of those people. But Prabhupada went right to where Krishna sent him. And slowly he built up a really amazing group, because those people who came were really, really looking for something. They were looking for spiritual life. They wanted to find meaning. And he was so kind and engaging that he just was able to make them stop all their nonsense, all their intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, everything at once, and to start chanting Maha Mantra like 16 rounds a day. That's 2 hours. And he built up an amazing group of devotees who then spread out eventually all over the entire world. In 12 years. In 12 years. Even when Prabhupada left, there were 100 temples, restaurants, farms, schools. So fast. And these were not, he wasn't preaching to wealthy people who could make things happen. Oh no, it wasn't like that. He only presented his own ideas. The parampara ideas. None of his, no deviations, no things that might feel more comfortable to people. Like, oh, you can eat meat, just chant my mantra. He never did that. Always uncompromising. He focused on the personal nature of God rather than the impersonal Brahman. That was very unusual. And that's Vaishnavism, of course. But most of the gurus who came were looking at impersonalism because it's easier to swallow. You don't have to do much. You are one with the whole. You're just a drop of water in the ocean. What can you do? But with the personal aspect of God, of course, you have lots of work to do. You need to develop your relationships that are rightfully yours, and that Krishna wants you to do. He did not emphasize demigod worship, because demigod worship is all about material gain. And we don't want that. We're not looking for more money. We're not looking for all the things that the demigods can give you. And they can, but no, that's not our focus at all. Just Krishna. We respect the demigods, but we don't worship them. He was totally emphasizing the scriptural availability. Most gurus never did that. They would only give the scriptures to a few people. But Prabhupada, he translated day and night so that he could give us the scriptures as they are, not all deviation full of crazy stuff. No, totally pure. And his mission was to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere, not just to come to New York and find a few male disciples, preferably of Indian descent, easier. No, he went everywhere and spoke to everyone, even places that were deemed to be impossible, like Russia, China. He went there. He made disciples. Those disciples fought so hard to spread Krishna consciousness, spent time in jail, some even died. It was rough. But now there's thriving communities in Russia, huge communities. Kyiv, where the war is going on, my friend is there. She sends me videos of the Sunday feast. There's like 1,200 people there, all dancing, blissful. They're all Ukrainians. Yeah, so Prabhupada went absolutely everywhere. He sent his disciples everywhere. When devotees would get married, he would say to them, oh, okay, so now you and your wife, you can go to this city and open a temple. Or go to that city. They just send them out. Like, keep going, make more, make more. He believed in unity and diversity. Keep the basics of the philosophy, totally. Don't change anything, but the diversity is important when you're dealing with so many cultures, languages, you know. He didn't tell his devotees in the Middle East, you must wear saris and dhotis. It's insane. He was able to see where compromise was necessary in order to spread Krishna consciousness. And not only that, he was able to take his devotees after a few years to India, where he had tried many times to establish Vaishnavism. He had traveled around, and it wasn't being taken. People had their own ideas of what was right, what was wrong. They didn't accept him as any kind of authority. He called them his dancing white elephants. Took them to India. They would go down the streets of Vrindavan during Harinam, chanting, oh, blissful, and everybody like, what is this? And then all of us back here in these cities, we'd be out collecting Lakshmi to buy the land of Juhu, to buy the Vrindavan temple. We raised that money, we built those temples. It came from here. I know it, because I can't even feel my fingers anymore from the cold, so much cold. Yeah. So then in India, of course, they started to then understand. And I know that was Krishna's plan the whole time. So now India is very strong. Many, many temples, very strongly Prabhupada centered. So it's amazing. Prabhupada changed the world. Honestly, he did. There's no place in the world you can go where you can't find some connection to Krishna consciousness. Even in places like Saudi Arabia, places like that. I know the people who go there to preach. They have groups there. China, they rent halls and say it's for a birthday party. And they have a big birthday party that's actually a Sunday feast. The authorities don't don't seem to get it. It's great. So they have their kirtan, and their praharana, and their class, and it's a birthday. And there are thousands of devotees in China. It's wonderful. It's unbelievable. Who else has done such a thing? And it's carried on because we've continued to follow Prabhupada's instructions without deviation. And there have been some people who deviated, but if we're not corrected, we're told to leave. And they go do their own thing. Fine. So I just wanted to, I don't know how much time, maybe 10 minutes. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what Prabhupada did directly in Toronto. He came in 1975. We were living on Gerrard Street in this little house. It was packed. And it was a really terrible neighborhood. When he came, we had to put plywood in the windows because we were afraid someone would throw a beer bottle through and hurt him. It was a really bad neighborhood. It's improved now, but it's still got a lot of men's shelters. I think that's the problem. Anyway, he said, okay, time to get a temple. And we were like, whoa, okay. Because we didn't have money. Now, how are we going to do this? And there were no congregations like you. Indian immigration hadn't opened up yet. There was hardly anyone. There was Subhuti, who taught us how to cook, thank God. Because before that, what we were cooking was pretty rough. She was great. And then, there was Yashmadan and his wife. They came quite often. Subal Vilas and Ashalat, and they brought all their kids, and Preeti and Prabhupada Sharma. And so many devotees started coming, but there still wasn't a big group like this that could help support our efforts. Sometimes when we'd get a bag of rice donated, it was like, oh my gosh, Krishna heard our prayers. It was tight. Anyway, he said, okay, we gotta do this. So we started looking for a temple. We found a number of places, and then we found this place. It was quite pretty cheaply because churches are hard to sell. I think it was $450,000. But in 1975, of course, that was like 20 million. But anyway, we were like, 450,000, how the heck? So anyway, we made it a hard drive. All of us, out every morning on the street, we had cans, like, empty tomato juice cans. And we just sell back to Godheads for 25 cents, sell flowers. Bhakti Marg Swami was up in Northern Ontario selling paintings. We did just this heavy campaign to raise money. And we found this place. We got a loan from the BBT, which really helped. And some of our Indian devotees were able to talk to the bank about mortgages, things like that. I didn't have a bank account. I couldn't talk about anything. So we needed that help. Anyway, we made the offer, and the church said, we will never sell to you. You people are heathen demons. And Prabhupada said, tell them we'll put Jesus on the altar. And having been a Christian, I thought, oh no, don't say that, don't say that. Anyway, we lost the offer. They sold to somebody else. But those people defaulted, and it went to the bank. And the bank sold it to us. So Krishna made the arrangement, and we got this place. Then Prabhupada came to visit. That was when we were just changing everything. This place was full of pews. There was a big altar up there with a bathing tub for baptisms and choir stalls and all this. Looked totally different. We had to renovate this entire place. Prabhupada was very happy with it, but we were still kind of like, oh. And he said, there must be anxiety. You must keep working very hard. This is very important. And we just said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, that's all we're going to do. I was up in the room upstairs where Bhakti Marg Swami's office is now, Prabhupada's office, and Prabhupada was speaking to a number of people, and I was just sitting by the wall listening. And there were a number of Indian folks there who immigrated to Canada. Because that's when they all started coming, around 76, 77, and a lot of people came. And Prabhupada said to them, your job now is to help these devotees. They have done so much. Now you must step in and help them. And it's funny because then it just started to blossom. On Sundays, somebody would come. All of a sudden, we had help. And we had more devotees. And we had bigger kirtans and everything. It changed. It was amazing. So, yeah, we got this church. We worked very hard to fix it up. We paid off the mortgage in time, which was a miracle. And now we are able to generate enough income that we are helping other temples to get started. Winnipeg, we gave a loan to Halifax. They bought buildings. They will pay back. It's not Toronto, but it's getting them going. And other temples as well, we want to help. There are so many temples across Canada now, and so many devotees. It's amazing. So Prabhupada was the inspiration for all of it, and he still is. So we can't forget that. You may be, and I know how it feels to have a guru and to be absorbed in your guru. I know how that feels. But never forget, your guru is a product of Srila Prabhupada. He made your guru. He's the one that inspired and taught and nursed your guru into what he is. And your guru owes everything to Srila Prabhupada. Please never forget that. We need to keep Prabhupada front and center always. And we need to try to cultivate your own relationship with Prabhupada. Read his books. Think about what he might want you to do. Pray to him. Talk to him. It's okay. I do that. It's nice. You can feel the support, and you will. So, anyway, yeah, another year gone by, 48 years since he left, but it's okay because, you know, he's not really gone, and he's always our well-wisher, always our father, all of us. And we just have to cultivate that, always hold on to his lotus feet, and always just really pray to him to help us to stay strong, to not become bewildered, and to be able to fulfill our mission, to become devotees of Krishna, to give up material life and to go back to Godhead. Anyway, any questions about the old times? Anything you've always wondered? Yes? What did you say?
She's asking if you had any exchanges with Srila Prabhupada.
Oh. How much time do I have? Done? Okay. I did have one amazing exchange, and I'll say it quickly. I was doing RT at Gerard Street. Everyone was out on morning walk. It was the 7th on RT. Prabhupada walked in ahead of everyone else because he got out of the car. The other devotees were just coming. He walked in and we were alone. He walked up in front of the altar. He paid his dandavats to Radha Gopinath. And I thought, oh my gosh, Radha Gopinath are telling him, who is this young woman driving me crazy, dressing me so bad, no devotion, what the heck is going on here? I figured it was really bad news. Anyway, I was like, woo! Anyway, he got up, he went to the Gaushana room, filled with people, and later in the day, Bibi Govinda Swami, who was my dear brother at the time, he still is, he came up to me and said, Praharana, Prabhupada told me, tell that young Pujari girl to get a bigger bell. So I went to Chinatown, because there was no little India much, and I bought a great big bell, and the next morning was dong, 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 instead of tinkle, tinkle. And see, Prabhupada read my mind. He knew I was like freaking out, and he wanted to give me something I could do to make me feel better, but also it was like a pat on the head. It was really nice, really personal. Yeah.
Hey. Let's give a big warm round before we go into the next segment, which is Prashada, which is, I'm sure, your favorite time. So we're currently in the month of Kartik, or Damodar month, which started on Tuesday, October 7th, and continues until Wednesday, November 5th. And so during the month of Kartik, you can join us every morning at 7 a.m. to offer lamps to Lord Damodar. And you'll actually be provided the lamps, so you don't even need to bring anything from home, just yourself, and you can offer the lamps. We do not offer any lamps during the evenings, just for safety reasons. We'd also like to inform you that Gopastami will be observed on October 29th, so this Wednesday. However, there will not be a formal festival happening at the temple, but you can still come. We'll be observing fasting for Uttana Ekadasi this Saturday, November 1st, and break fast the next day between 6:55 a.m. and 10:19 a.m. in the morning. We're also very excited to announce that Gita Jayanti, which is the anniversary of the advent of the Bhagavad Gita. How many of you have read the Bhagavad Gita or have the Bhagavad Gita at home? Wonderful. So for those of you who don't yet, you can actually go out to the front book table and grab a copy, or if your friend doesn't have one, grab a copy for them. So that will be celebrated on Monday, December 1st, and more details will be announced in the upcoming weeks. Also, for children between the ages of 3 and 18 years, there is an annual Gita contest, which is happening on December 7th. And for more details, you can go to the bulletin board out in the hallways, and you can sign up using the email address of the flyer. For darshan timings, upcoming events, and festival details, please visit our temple website at torontokrishna.com. And then for today's cooks, we're going to offer our heartfelt thanks to today's cooks, Baba Malini Mataji and her dedicated team. Let's give a big round of applause. So today we have two Sunday feast sponsors. The first sponsor is Hima Verma and her family. And the second sponsor is Tashi Saha and her family, who are seeking blessings from Lord Damodar. So let's all chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times to invoke the blessings of